Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. Today we are taking a look at the Pena X Series Lanny clip point flipper. This happens to be the one with jig titanium. There are a number of options available. I kind of love all of them, but I was lucky enough to have a friend local to me, Bradley, pick one up. He knows sort of my preferences. We talked about this knife before, so he knew I was a huge fan. And when he got one, he had it for a while, but he was quickly kind enough to say, "Hey, man, do you want to check this out for a little bit and do a review?" And I said, "Of course I do. I really, really like this. I'm a huge fan of the sort of modern traditional interplay that Pena does with these. I know there's a few companies doing this. Some production companies as well as some other custom makers, but Pena seems to, I don't know, he just seems to balance it out just right. I tend to be drawn to his take on the sort of modern traditional stuff more so than others. This one, of course, is built by Riyadh. If you've been around this channel at all, you know I have repeatedly called Riyadh the best current production knife company. And I would say pretty much bar none. There are some companies that are, maybe doing slightly better work than them, but the price point is so much more that it doesn't really make sense. So Riyadh being the builder on this is absolutely perfect, and actually the price point on these is pretty reasonable, around $300, which for what you're getting, I think is a fantastic value. So let's go ahead and get into the knife itself. This is a little smaller than what I usually like to carry. This guy is only 7 and 9/16, so a little over 7.5 inches. I will say, for some reason, this knife feels fine. Okay, and I've said this before. Most of the time, smaller knives don't do it for me, and even when I buy them, I end up getting rid of them because I just can't be satisfied, I guess, carrying a knife under 8 inches. And I would like to see this done in an 8 inch size. I feel like it would give me just a little more real estate. I think keep the design exactly as it is, just make it just a teeny bit bigger. Maybe keep it thin and just stretch it a little bit. I think I would appreciate that a lot. As it stands, I absolutely love this knife because when you actually get it in hand and start using it, flipping it, cutting stuff with it, you realize it's highly, highly functional. So I have absolutely enjoyed getting to spend a little bit of time with this. Bradley, thanks again, because it's been so much fun to kind of get familiar with this knife. So size and weight, I kind of got myself distracted. 7 and 9/16 overall, 3 1/4 inches on the blade, 4 3/4 inches on the handle, 3.5 inches of grip area. So that's the only one little hiccup here for someone with really big hands. If your hands are much larger than mine, this actually may end up being too small for you. For my hands, which are about size large, it actually works okay. It's not perfect, but it's definitely absolutely fine. And the weight on this is pretty hefty for its small size, 4.6 ounces. Now, again, that doesn't bother me at all. And they have milled it out to save a little bit of weight, but 4.6 ounces is not that big of a deal to me. Well, it seems a little heavy for its size. It's not, carrying it around in pocket, you don't even really notice it, or at least I don't. Okay, let's move over to the blade here. The blade is one of the many things I really, really like about this knife. Check out the compound grind and the different finishes. I really, really like this. So we've got a hollow grind here, flat grind out here at the tip. Nice swedge here, stonewash on the swedge and the primary bevel. Really nice satin finish on the flats here with a little nail nick. Very, very attractive, interesting blade. Of course, it does have a recurve, and this is how I feel about recurves. If you're gonna do it, I like to see, a full thing. Every once in a while, there's a knife I like that has just a mild recurve. It's not that I'm really picky about it, but I like the way this is done. It takes a traditional blade design and adds some really, really interesting flair to it that I have to say I appreciate a lot. So those are the design components in use. Again, it's really, really nice. The hollow grind means it's nice and thin behind the edge. It slices very, very well, and then you've still got that extra oomph, if you will, that extra, toughness out at the tip to keep you from having any kind of issues that way with this nice flat grind out here that does add a little bit of material and I think looks fantastic. Honestly, I love this transition here from the stonewash to the satin. Riyadh, the lines here are so clean and so precise. I've got to say Riyadh has done a fantastic job grinding this blade. Very, very nice, very useful and very interesting. Really, what more could you ask for in a knife blade? Moving down here to the pivot and the lockup, we do have a bearing pivot. Obviously, it's a flipper. The action on this is very, very nice. The detent is basically perfect. The action is fast and smooth and enjoyable. Really, really, really love flipping this knife. This is definitely one of those knives that you would spend a lot of time fidgeting with, and I'm sure Bradley does, and certainly I have in the time that I've had it. So really, really, really nice. Okay, single row ceramic bearings, lock bar insert, as you would imagine, over travel stop, all that kind of stuff. The lock bar is quite accessible. The flipper is comfortable, and so you're not going to end up in feeling like you can't work this knife properly. It doesn't cause a lot of fatigue. I've had knives before where if you do end up flipping them for a while, your hand starts to get tired and sore. Not so with this one. Everything's just comfortable and easy and just really, really nicely done. So big fan of the action on this. And of course, while we're talking about this and we're kind of moving into handle construction anyway, I really like that decorative pivot anodized bright blue there along with all that bright blue hardware. So let's go ahead now and talk a little bit about this handle. As you can see, we've got a titanium frame lock, we've got a full bolster, jigged titanium, milled clip. Fairly nice job on the internal milling that you can see there. Geared backspacer, lanyard hole. Overall, really, really attractive knife. And normally, this is something that I've, has been a thing for me for a while now. Most of the time, I don't like a faux bolster like this. But honestly, this one, it just seems to work. I probably, if I was going to buy one, I would probably not buy the full bolster. I'd probably buy one with micarta on the handle. But I have to say that this really does work for me. I find it quite attractive. So those are all the the design construction elements, and in that regard, I really like it. We haven't said anything about ergonomics, and I've got to say, this ergonomically is a real win. And I've said this over and over again, and I may have to start to change my biases, but I probably won't. Normally, one of the reasons I avoid smaller knives is I don't like them ergonomically. I don't like the feel in hand. They just feel too insubstantial to me most of the time, but this one is not that way. It's a very substantial handle. It's pretty thick. It's very hand filling. And so I really feel like I can get some work done with this knife. I don't feel like I'm sort of under knifed, if that, I know that's not a thing, but that's often how I feel. Like I just can't, I don't know, just it's not as satisfying for me with a smaller handle. But this one, even though the knife is smaller and the handle is a little small, it's very hand filling and very, very comfortable and rather confidence inspiring because of that extra girth and a nice big spot for my thumb to rest up here on the blade. So I actually enjoy the ergonomics on this quite a bit. No hot spots. I guess if you were going to hold it in reverse grip, it's pretty comfortable that way, or in like a draw cut grip, it's okay. You can see the flipper gets me a little bit. Again, I never actually hold the knife this way because I can't. I don't have a need to. But those are, the ergonomic points that I want to hit on. Okay, let's go ahead and grab some comparisons. There are some knives out there that I could see. Now, here's the thing, guys. This is a pretty special knife. So if if you like Enrique Pena, if you like Riyadh, if you like this design, you're going to be drawn to this. And there's not a lot out there that's similar. I guess Liang Ma has some similar knives, but they're not quite, they're going to even then be quite a bit different from this. So, well, I am going to bring in some comparisons. This is not an easy knife to compare. So here, of course, is the Inkosi Tanto. It's a compound grind as well, so I thought maybe that would be worthwhile. Also, everyone's pretty familiar with, the Chris Reeve knives and especially the Sebenza and Nkosi size. So that gives you an idea. So here's how it compares to an Nkosi. My favorite Riot knife, of course, is the Riot Torrent, and put those side by side so you can see. Again, this is one that I've often recommended. These are on sale right now, a couple of places for around 300 bucks. So actually the price point on these pretty reasonable and pretty comparable. Let's see. I will say this. I like the action on this just a teeny bit better. It does have dual row ceramic bearings where this one is only going to be single row. Here's a knife that's sort of kind of similar in size. This of course is the Zero Tolerance 0470. Very nice knife. I like this quite a bit. Definitely the styling on the Pena is more interesting to me, but I thought, I could see someone who likes this size range being familiar with and appreciating that. A couple of more that are sort of standard bearers for me. Here is the WE Knives Malice. Again, it's on the smaller side for me anyway. And lastly, a very, very common knife that everyone's familiar with, or a lot of people are familiar with. Many of you probably own one. This is the 0562 Ti. Maybe you don't own the Ti, but you may own or be familiar with some version of the 0462, and so felt like it made sense to bring that guy in. Okay, what are my overall thoughts on this knife? If you've been watching at all, you probably picked up on the fact that I actually really, really like this. Um, look, it's very cool, and the one thing that draws me to this knife, and I think this is true of virtually every knife that I enjoy, is I just love the look of this. This is a beautiful design. I love the blade. I love the compound grind. I love the blue hardware. I love the jigged titanium. I love the interplay between traditional and modern. Overall, this design is fantastic to me. Add to that an exceptional build quality from Riot, that it feels great in hand, that it cuts well, that it has good action, and you just kind of go like, what more could you want, right? The value is it's expensive, guys. This is a $300 knife, but for 300 bucks, you're getting something really, really special. So yeah, this is really well done. I will say one last time, I do wish it was a little bit bigger, but even at 7 and 9/16 overall, I think this is a huge, huge win. And it's one of those knives I may eventually own someday because I like it that much. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check the links down below. I don't think Southern Edge or White Mountain Knives has any of these in stock, but there's actually a chance with either one of them. I know for sure they have been stocked in the past at White Mountain Knives. So good luck with finding one. There are some out there, and this is definitely one you're not going to regret buying and owning. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon.